Have you ever thought about something really simple? If you look at a map from above and see where Iran is and where Saudi Arabia is and where Dubai is and where Qatar, Oman, Bahrain, and all these Gulf countries are, they are literally neighbors, right next to each other. Same region. The people there are mostly Muslim. The cultures have overlap. The histories are connected. So naturally, if someone who knows nothing about geopolitics looked at that map, they would say, yeah, obviously, Iran and Saudi Arabia should be friends. Iran and the Gulf countries should be close allies. That just makes sense, right? But no, that is not what is happening at all. These countries are actually enemies of Iran, and instead of being close to their neighbor, they are best friends with a country that is literally on the other side of the planet. America, a country in North America, a country that has almost nothing in common with the Gulf region. America believes in democracy. These Gulf countries run on monarchy. America's culture is completely different. Their religion is different. Their vibe is different. What one considers normal, the other considers completely abnormal. These are two totally opposite types of civilizations, and yet somehow they are not just friends. They are such close friends that America has built military bases in the Gulf Desert. Such close friends that 10,000 American soldiers stay in Qatar regularly. Such close friends that over 150 aircraft are parked in Qatar's desert year-round. The base is called Al Udeid, and from this one base in the middle of the Qatari desert, America controls every single military operation it runs in the Middle East. Every operation in the last 30, 40, 50 years from the Middle East to Afghanistan to Pakistan to anywhere in that part of the world has been planned or coordinated from this spot. How did this happen? How did America convince these countries? And why did these countries agree? Who started this whole thing? Where does it end? That is what we are getting into today. There are 6 countries sitting along the Persian Gulf: Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, which most people just call Dubai, but it is actually the United Arab Emirates, which has several places inside it, then Kuwait, Bahrain, and Oman. These 6 countries share one very big similarity. None of them are democracies. All 6 are monarchies, kings and emirs and sultans running things. Another big similarity is that all of them produce enormous amounts of oil and gas. These 6 countries together produce over 40% of the world's oil. And there is one more very important similarity. All 6 of them receive military protection from the United States of America. So how did this protection arrangement begin? Let us go back. 1945. World War II has just ended. The entire world is exhausted. America won the war, but at a huge cost. Hundreds of thousands of American soldiers died. The economy was battered. Every family was affected either financially or by losing someone, or both. The general mood in America was, we are done with wars. We want to rebuild. We want to focus on the economy. We want to become the biggest, most prosperous country on earth. No more fighting. The president at the time was Franklin Roosevelt. People called him one of the most far-sighted presidents America ever had. A man who could see where the future was heading. And Roosevelt understood something very clearly. In the future, whoever controls oil will control the world. Keep that in mind. Now, on the other side of the world, there is a man named Abdulaziz ibn Saud. He is the king of Saudi Arabia. In 1932, Saudi Arabia was basically a village. Desert everywhere. No infrastructure, no money, nothing. Then, in 1938, American geologists found oil in a place called Ghawar in Saudi Arabia. And not just a little oil. So much oil in one place that nothing like it had ever been discovered anywhere on Earth before. Overnight, this king, who was running one of the poorest countries in the world, suddenly became the owner of one of the richest pieces of land on the planet. But there were 2 massive problems. First, the country was so poor that even though he knew there was oil underground, he did not have the money or technology to extract it. Second, now that the whole world knew about this oil, other countries could easily invade and take it. And he had no army. He did not even have money to pay an army. He was sitting on a gold mine with no way to dig it up and no way to protect it. This is where Roosevelt comes in. February 14th, 1945, Valentine's Day. The war is ending. Roosevelt is heading back to America on a warship called the USS Quincy. On his way home, the ship stops at the Suez Canal in Egypt, and he invites King Abdulaziz to come meet him. Now the king has never left Saudi Arabia in his life. He shows up at the ship with his whole entourage. His people, his throne. They actually set up a throne on the deck of an American warship. The king sat on his throne on the ship, and the meeting began. He even brought his own sheep because he would not eat food unless it was slaughtered and prepared according to Islamic customs. He had no idea how Americans prepared food. and he was not going to take any chances. That whole journey from Saudi Arabia to the ship is a story in itself, but let us stay focused. These two men, Roosevelt and King Abdulaziz, made an agreement, and this agreement changed the entire world. The deal was this. America told Saudi Arabia, look, you do not have money, but you have oil under your ground. I will help you. I will help extract the oil. I will help you sell it. And most importantly, if anyone ever tries to attack you or take your oil, my military will protect you. My army is your army from today. In return, what do? Every drop of oil you sell it only in exchange for US dollars. And not any other currency. You can sell to whoever you want. Any country in the world. No problem. But they have to pay you in dollars. If they do not pay in dollars, you do not sell them oil. This agreement is what the world calls the petrodollar agreement. And this single deal reshaped the entire global economy. For the next 30 years, this system ran perfectly. No hiccups. And if you really think about it, the system is incredibly smart. Here is how it works. Saudi Arabia extracts oil and sells it. Great. They get paid in dollars. Now, if I am another country, say India or Japan, and I want to buy oil from Saudi Arabia, I first need to get my hands on dollars, because Saudi Arabia will not accept anything else. So how do I get dollars? I either trade with America or I convert my own currency into dollars. Either way, the dollar stays in demand. The dollar stays powerful. The dollar stays on top. Now here is the next part. Saudi Arabia gets all these dollars from selling oil. What does Saudi Arabia do with dollars? Dollars are not their currency. They cannot just stack dollars in a room forever. So they either spend the dollars buying things from America, like goods and technology, or they invest the dollars back into America because America has the biggest economy and the safest banks. So the dollars that left America come right back to America. America basically created a system where the money always flows back home. Saudi Arabia gets to sell oil and make a living. Other countries have to chase dollars to buy oil. And America sits in the middle collecting benefits from every direction. Everybody is doing okay in this arrangement, but America is doing the best by far. This ran smoothly until October 1973. That is when Egypt and Syria suddenly attacked Israel. And when Israel got attacked, America did what America always does. It rushed in to help Israel. It sent military support. When the Arab countries saw America helping Israel, they got angry, very angry. They said, why is America coming into our region and interfering? And they did something drastic. They stopped selling oil, just cut it off. Oil embargo. The effect was terrifying. Mile-long lines of cars at gas stations, people waiting for hours just to fill up. Prices of everything shot up because everything depends on oil. Factories shut down. The American economy was hit badly. America at that time did not produce much of its own oil. President Nixon went on television and declared an energy crisis. It was chaos. Eventually, the war ended and oil sales resumed. But America learned a very painful lesson. If Saudi Arabia and the Gulf countries stop selling oil, America is in deep trouble. And it was not just about the oil itself. If the petrodollar deal falls apart, the dollar loses its power too. Two disasters at once. So in 1974, Henry Kissinger went to Saudi Arabia and formalized the petrodollar agreement once and for all. Made it official, made it permanent. From 1974 onward, the whole world knew that oil trade happens in dollars. That is the rule. Now let me explain something called the petrodollar cycle, because this is where it gets really interesting. You know how people talk about the poverty cycle, right? A poor person cannot afford education, so they stay poor and their children stay poor, and it keeps going in circles. The petrodollar system has its own cycle. Gulf countries sell oil. They get dollars. They spend those dollars either buying things from America or buying American weapons or investing in America. When they buy weapons, American military infrastructure gets stronger. That stronger military then protects these same Gulf countries, which allows them to keep selling oil safely, which gives them more dollars, which they spend in America again. Round and round it goes, a self-fulfilling loop. And it works so well that nobody dares to break it. This is why it does not matter who becomes the American president. Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden, it does not matter. Every single one of them maintains a great relationship with the Gulf countries. Every single one of them talks tough sometimes, but never actually does anything to damage the relationship. Let me give you an example. Remember Jamal Khashoggi, the journalist who was killed inside a Saudi consulate? His body was reportedly cut into pieces and smuggled out. The CIA confirmed which country was behind it. When Biden was running for president, he said he would make that country a pariah. He said there would be consequences. He said he would not have a relationship with them. Then he became president. Not only did he maintain the relationship, he actually flew to the Middle East and signed deals worth $500 million. Because no American president will ever damage the petrodollar relationship. It is too important. Too much is at stake. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, so America is just exploiting these Gulf countries. They are getting all the benefit and giving nothing back. That is not entirely true. Remember, the deal was America provides military protection, and America has actually delivered on that. In 1990, Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, took over the entire country in a very short war. After taking Kuwait, Saddam's army moved right up to the Saudi border. Kuwait and Saudi Arabia share a border, so suddenly Saudi Arabia was in direct danger. Saudi Arabia picked up the phone and called Washington, and America responded. 500,000 troops were sent to Saudi Arabia. Massive warships, fighter jets, infrastructure, a full-scale military deployment. They fought Saddam's forces, liberated Kuwait, pushed Saddam back into Iraq. America actually showed up when it mattered. The protection was real, but here is the problem. After the war ended, the American troops did not leave. They stayed in Saudi Arabia. The bases remained. And this created a very serious issue. There was a man named Osama bin Laden. He had actually offered to use his own fighters to defend Saudi Arabia against Saddam. The Saudi royal family rejected his offer and chose American protection instead. Bin Laden was furious. His biggest grievance was that American soldiers, non-Muslim soldiers, were stationed on Saudi soil near Mecca and Medina, the holiest places in Islam. This was one of the main reasons he turned against America. He founded Al-Qaeda, he declared war, and eventually that led to the September 11th attacks. The rest is history. Now think about something interesting. America goes around the world promoting democracy. Any country that does not have democracy, America shows up and says, looks like you need some freedom. Let me help. America went into Afghanistan. America went into Iraq. America interfered in Venezuela. America has caused problems in dozens of countries in the name of democracy and freedom. But at the same time, there are countries that have zero democracy. Countries where democracy has never existed and probably never will. Countries that do not even want democracy. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, UAE, Oman, Kuwait. All monarchies. And America never once tells any of them, hey, why don't you have democracy? Let me help you get some democracy. Never. Not once. Why? Because of the petrodollar. Because of this hidden friendship. Because these countries are useful, and in geopolitics, being useful is all that matters. Now, here is the important thing about where this is all heading. The petrodollar system might not survive forever. There are real signs that it could weaken or even collapse in the coming decades. China's yuan is getting more powerful. Alternative financial systems are emerging. Countries are starting to trade in their own currencies instead of dollars. At the same time, America's dependence on Middle Eastern oil has decreased. America now produces a lot of its own oil. It buys from Venezuela and other places. It does not need the Gulf as much as it used to for actual oil. But the petrodollar side of things, the fact that oil trade keeps the dollar powerful, that is what America still cares about deeply. And the Gulf countries are not blind to any of this. They can see the future too. They know that their model of pump oil, sell oil, get rich is not going to last forever. That is why every single one of them is trying to diversify. Dubai says it will focus on tourism. Qatar says it will focus on tourism and sports. It hosted the World Cup. Saudi Arabia has this thing called Vision 2030, where it wants to build futuristic cities. They are buying football clubs. They brought Cristiano Ronaldo. They built a Mr. Beast theme park. They are doing everything they can to build an economy that does not depend entirely on oil, because they know the day is coming when the world will not need their oil as much. And when that day comes, the whole equation changes. America wants to keep this system going as long as possible. Most Gulf countries also want to keep it going as long as possible. But we can all sense that a time is coming, maybe sooner than anyone thinks, when the petrodollar will not exist anymore, when currencies will be open and anyone can buy anything with whatever money they have. Or maybe people will not even want to buy oil as much because the world will have shifted to renewable energy and electric power and other alternatives. The dependency on oil is already slowly decreasing worldwide. The whole thing is complicated. Many layers, many angles, but this is the core of it. This is why Saudi Arabia and America are best friends even though they have nothing in common. This is why Qatar hosts 10,000 American troops, even though Qatar and America are about as different as two countries can possibly be. This is why these monarchies never get lectured about democracy. This is why the relationship survives no matter who is president. This is the petrodollar. This is the deal that was made on a warship 80 years ago between a president who could see the future and a king who needed protection. And that deal built the world we live in today. All right, that is it. See you in the next one.